States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next I make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes of May 12th, 2020. Do I hear a second?
So moved.
Roll call.
Mr. Kritikos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, next I make a motion that we approve the special meeting minutes of May 20th, 2020. Do I hear a second?
So moved.
Roll call.
Mr. Kritikos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, and then I know we have some typed in open form. Do we have anybody present in open form, or?
Do the special meeting also? Or did you just do both? I'm sorry.
I did both.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and then we go to open forum. Do we have anybody signed in first?
I have some comments that were emailed, but did you guys want to speak or?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, the first one is from Carl Jones regarding Columbia Township Board of Trustees open forum, appointing Michael Lemon as special advisor to the Board of Trustees beginning June 10, 2020, authorizing the terms of appointment, dispensing with the second reading, and declaring an emergency. Please explain this appointment. Why does the township need a special advisor to the trustees? Please explain. Isn't this the job of the administrator, which is included in their duties? What are the extra expenses to the township? Does this appointment involve the Little Miami Fire District and/or its financial problems? Will the advisor be replacing any township representatives on the Little Miami Fire District? The person being appointed was already on the board last year and did not correct any of the problems on the LMFD, mainly over budget spending. The only corrections during last year were higher taxes and a $400,000 loan from the Village of Fairfax. So how is this change of titles going to fix any problems? Thanks, Carl Jones.
Okay, I also got a phone call from Mike Ty as well about just trying to address some of this topic. So I guess I'm gonna just take a minute to explain it. And I guess we'll go through Carl's letter since he wrote us kind of one by one. Why does the township, please explain this appointment. Why does the township need a special advisor to the trustees? Please explain. Well, I would say since Mike retired, I've asked him if he'd come back in a consulting role and help us finish what he's been working on for the last 2.5 years in our fire board. And that is using his expertise in getting hard numbers that we can use for accountability to better understand how to manage and partner to make our fire department better and more accountable and efficient. So Mike has spent the last 2.5 years just to accumulate data, protocols and efficiencies and numbers, and now that we have them, we can make better decisions. And I asked Mike before he was done and finished to come back and help us with that. Next question, isn't this the job of the administrator, which is included in their duties? And I would just say that it was not the responsibility of the administrator historically. By statute, the administrator was not allowed to sit on the board until recently, when I lobbied to get the rules changed from having to have an elected official and a volunteer citizen of the community. We had to go lobby to allow that our administrator was allowed to sit on the board. So that's only recently that Mike's been able to come in and use his expertise to help us better understand what we have in the fire board. And since he's become a member, I realized how badly the board needs his expertise with all the work that he's done, and they still need his expertise, and that's part of why we brought him back. What are the extra expenses to the township? We're looking at $2,750 a month for budgeting about 25 hours worth of his service, which if you go down to an hourly rate, it's about 110 bucks an hour. Given Mike's intimate knowledge and expertise with the fire department and the importance of our ability to provide safety services to our residents, Mike is an invaluable resource, and since the deal is already negotiated with Mike, I think it's a great deal for the township, the rate that we negotiated with him. I mean, Melissa, you're in the attorney and consulting world. I mean, what would we pay an attorney to come in and consult on a deal, an experienced attorney?
So an experienced contract attorney, or for negotiations or litigation or contracts would be on the low end 300, on 350, 450 to 500, and then a consultant for these types of matters of public safety. In my experience as a consultant, low 300s to mid 400s.
So, I mean, to get Mike for $110 an hour, he hits the ground running, knows what's going on. That's the importance of why we brought him back, to go finish what he started and and come in and finish it all up for us. All right, let's see, next question. Does this appointment involve the Little Miami District and/or its financial problems? Yes, the appointment was clearly intended to help resolve our Little Miami Fire Department and anything else we may need from Mike that's township related, since he's been here for 20 years. I like good and positive transitions, as everybody knows by now, and Mike's been an invaluable resource on everything to the township, but especially the fire departments where we need him the most. And as far as the financial problems, let me be clear, I'd call it underfunded, not really financial problems. It's been underfunded for decades. I mean, they never really had enough money with 2 fire departments. They really need a third partner, which would have been, in the case of Fairfax, Marymount, that was never obtained. So I just don't want to be unfair to the firefighters and the first responders down there. It's underfunded more than it's completely mismanaged. So we're just trying to get a better handle on that. And we're proud of our first responders, and this is no reflection on them. They do an incredible job. This department needed 3 partners to work: Marymount, Fairfax, and Columbia Township, and where we are working on a Marymount partnership of some sort as we speak, and with Mike's help as well, because all his knowledge of all the people down in Marymount. All right, next question. Will the advisor be replacing any township representative on the Little Miami Fire District? Let's take a look here. No, Melissa will technically be on the fire board because of statute, but Mike will be relied on as the consultant, and it is a temporary arrangement with Mike. So, okay, the person being appointed was already on the board for the last year and did not correct any of the problems of the Little Miami Fire District, mainly of the over budget spending. Okay, well, yes, Mike was on the fire board, but he was one of 6 votes. So, and we all agree this is one of the toughest problems that, Mike, you agree that was one of the toughest problems you've dealt with your entire career? We've said it in the past.
Yes.
And
No question.
and again, over budget spending, I would say that it's underfunded from the get-go, underfunded. And the only corrections during the last year were higher taxes. And a $400,000 loan to Fairfax. How's this going to change things? Again, I'll finish with saying these are decades-old problems and decisions that were made that we have inherited, and it was my goal to fix these before Mike calls it quits calls it completely quits, or completely calls it quits, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. Let me also be clear that because of Mike's leadership and fiscal responsibility, the township will never not be able to pay for safety services. So regardless, we will find a way to pay for it. We will never not have fire. We just need to get things moving in the right direction and get things get things done correctly. So higher taxes to fix problems. We're working on it. I hope we find a great solution. I'm optimistic we will. You never know till it's done. But we are all over it, on it, and it's 100% of our, well, I say 100%, it's a major focus of what we're working on right now. And I'm completely optimistic we'll find a better solution than we have now. So that's kind of where we are with Mike and the fire department. And again, thanks, Mike, for being willing to come back, because we did need you, and I know you kind of were ready to be done with this, so. Okay?
I agree.
Anything, anybody want to add to that?
I'm glad you accepted.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, well, there was another email comment from Gordon Miller. It says this seems the subject is police do not defund. This seems a crazy topic to discuss, but times are just that. I just wanted to say that our experience with the township crew and county broadly has been good. Gordon Miller.
Right, okay. I would say, Gordon, I would makes no sense to defund the police department. We rely on them heavily, especially in these trying times, and the police department's done a great job of keeping us safe during these very tough times. So, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You guys have any comments about defunding the police department? Okay. Any other comments from the people? Okay, open forum. Okay, open forum is closed. I lost my agenda. Okay, now, any questions about, let's go to the road superintendent report. Any questions about the road superintendent report?
No.
Police report, anything to add?
The only thing I have, is that we went back to our normal operations, beginning June 1st, so we are no longer operating on emergency response, so we are responding to everything now, so that's a good thing, as we work through the COVID-19, pandemic, so. And then Melissa and I just recently spoke about, the possibility of acquiring a, police vehicle. It seems that some other ones have become available, so we're exploring that, possibility. So, other than that, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to the fiscal officer report, Ms. Eakin.
As of May, we are 1 month away from our mid-year point, and the general fund balance is currently $2,778,812, which is a decrease of 4.5% from April. Restricted fund balance is $5,458,886, which is a decrease of 1% from April. Combined, these funds total $8,237,698, which is down 2% from April. For May, our revenues were $44,473, with expenses at $236,991. Year-to-date revenues $2,942,417, with expenses at $1,540,800. Around the midpoint each year, our year-to-date revenue and expense figures better reflect the overall conditions, better than the monthly figures, because the timing of the first half settlement of funds from the Hamilton County Auditor's Office received in April of each year. In between the biannual revenue settlements, the monthly revenue figures are lower than expenses. And federal income tax payments, which impact the JED's receipts, and Hamilton County Auditor's real property tax payments both have been postponed to July. This will also delay our ability to measure any real potential COVID impacts on our revenues until late in the third quarter. And as stated in last month's report, we are very fortunate to have a strong reserve fund thanks to the board's commitment to responsible budgeting and our staff's professional financial management.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, next we'll move on to the administrator's report with Ms. Taylor.
I want to thank again our staff. 2020, as we roll in from spring into summer, is continuing to be a challenging year, and our staff has worked without interruption every day through 100-year virus, 500-year storms. We have storms in our forecast again today. I calculated, of the 5 employees in addition to me, that we have more than 110 years of dedication working for this community and for you, the trustees. Mike, when you left, the number dropped a bit, but it's still an impressive number. I'm 3 months on the job. I will tell you, I am in awe of the work family that has been built here, and it is family. We need each other every day as we come in through all of these different challenges and opportunities. So I would like to say on behalf of staff, to our community and to you, the trustees, that we are strong, we are resilient, and together we are going to continue to take great care of each other and this wonderful Columbia community. So thank you, staff. Another thank you to Green Papaya chef owner Ta. She made custom cloth face coverings for each one of our masks, custom for the ladies and for the men. Green Papaya is one of not just the area but the region's most popular Thai and sushi restaurants, and Ta has a location here in Columbia Township on Plainville Road as well as in Hyde Park. We have a lot of projects going on this summer that are really a big deal for this township. We have road reconstructions and safety improvements. I want to highlight just a few of those. So next week, 2 big projects kick off. One is the new crosswalk on Wooster Pike in the vicinity of 50 West. This crosswalk will improve connectivity between bike, pedestrian, sidewalks, and the Miami Trail, and our growing entertainment and recreational and parks district. US 50 is a very busy route, and people often dart across it with dogs and baby carriages, and last year, the trustees and Mike began working with ODOT on a solution, and the crosswalk construction begins next week. It should be completed in July. We will have full details on the crosswalk on our website, and also a tutorial, because there's some new technology with the crosswalk. There'll be rapid response flashing lights. There'll be an island in the middle for pedestrians to stop in the event they're unable to make it all the way across, and as motorists are learning the new state laws to stop. So we're really excited about that, and once again, in the spirit of partnership, we were able to leverage money from outside the township through ODOT toward part of the cost of the crosswalk, but our businesses actually, through our JEDZ, funded the majority of that crosswalk, so thank you to all of the businesses as well. The crosswalk will connect to the south at 50 West Burger Bar, and with a direct connection to the new extension of the Little Miami Trail that will be open as well. So also kicking off next week, ODOT is repaving Wooster Pike, US 50, from in Marymount all the way through Columbia Township to the western boundary of Terrace Park. And with that project, ODOT is adding 2 more crosswalks to the east of Newtown Road in the vicinity of the trailhead entrance, as well as restriping the pavement on the south side of Wooster Pike for a new bike lane. So we'll have a sidewalk on the north, a bike lane on the south, a crosswalk in the middle, and a trail to the side. So connectivity after another 6 weeks to 2 months is going to completely change in that area. So again, I'm just reading something that was started under the prior administration that we were able to take over the goal line. So thank you to the trustees for being willing to fund this project, and it'll make a huge difference in terms of safety and also economic development. We will have, I signed up through ODOT for regular advisories on the US 50 paving, because there will be periods when the 2 lanes in each direction are reduced to 1 lane. There will be police officers or flaggers present. So we encourage people, if they're interested in staying up with those advisories, they can check on our website, and I will have all of that updated daily. On one of our road construction projects that is underway, Moffett and Ebersole, we are now back on site. That project was suspended as a result of COVID-19. Duke was not able to go into residents' homes in order to make the connections to the new gas main. Newman sent out, our contractor, Fred Newman, sent out to all the homeowners, and so they should have received this week a letter letting them know that construction would start, and also giving our homeowners both the contractor's phone number and our road superintendent, John Cervisi's direct phone number, so that if there are any questions or any need for information, that they can have a direct contact to us. Hillendale Drive reconstruction, we will be going out for bids for that project, very big project, later this month, and so at the July meeting I should have a request for a bid acceptance. As done with Moffett and Ebersole and Hillendale, this administration, again under Mike and the trustees, secured OPWC grants, 50% coverage for the cost of these road projects, and then the other 50% on a, wait for it, 30-year 0% loan. So we are really leveraging our funds to bring these improvements to our community. TEC Engineering is progressing on the safety study for the Good Shepherd Montessori that was brought to us by the Girl Scouts, and we should have some information later this summer on that. One final note to our residents, we participate in a utility aggregation program for both gas and electric. Our electric aggregation program is up for an annual renewal this August through next August, and Constellation Energy is mailing letters starting next week to all of the residents that are a part of the program, with an option to do nothing and remain in for the discounted program, or if you want to opt out and find your own supplier, you're welcome to do that. So if you receive a letter from Constellation, it will also have Columbia Township's letterhead on it, as I said, if you're already in the program and are pleased with the discounts that we've negotiated on your behalf. You do not have to do anything, and if you prefer to look for another supplier, you can send in the opt-out notice by July 8th. And my final report is that, for those of you who are familiar with the former Bailey's Concrete Building behind where the Madison Place Coffee Shop is being developed, that dreary tan building is now a gorgeous shade of deep gray. One of the group's artists named Matthew painted it, and it really has improved the look of that corner even more than before. A lot going on.
Yes, indeed. Great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, anybody?
No, thank you, Melissa.
Okay, then we move on to communications, and I guess we reference an article about the grants that we applied for, and I guess those are still alive, which one would be on the firehouse, and one would be over on the Worcester Pike corridor, potentially accumulating a site. And Melissa, you and I had a conversation about where the status of those grants might be. You want to mention that?
The state legislature has to reappropriate budget for the second year of the biennium because of impacts from COVID. And they're, depending on the day, the capital budget projects will be funded or will not be funded or will be scaled back. So we are monitoring that.
But they were also
closely.
testing the communities to make sure they had the muscle to do it.
That's right. The inquiry came out as they were looking at options to know which communities had the means to move forward with their projects and which communities were unable to due to the crises from the impact of COVID-19 on their budgets. And we were very clear with them that we are on deck and ready to move forward and would make great use of both grants at the full amount.
Great, thank you. And also to add on that, Melissa and I also met with the restaurant owner today that has had an interest for probably over a year now, and they're still very interested, so that's a positive. I was kind of surprised and taken back, but they're very, very interested and excited about doing something, so that's positive. That said, we move on to resolutions, and I'll leave this to you, Melissa.
All right, our first two resolutions are emergency resolutions so that they can go into effect immediately. The first resolution is to reappoint and compensate the position of Township Law Director, dispensing with the second reading and declaring an emergency.
Make a motion.
Is there any discussion before we, I would like to say that Brian Pacheco is with us. Brian is our law director. Brian has been with the township since 2009. And I heard great things about him from everyone before starting. I was looking to spend a few months with Brian. We've been in the trenches on a number of routine as well as challenging matters, and he has proven to me that his reputation is fairly earned. And so I appreciate that the trustees would allow us to reappoint him. So I've read the title of the resolution. You've heard the first reading. May I have a motion and a second to dispense with the second reading, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
We have dispensed with the second reading. May I have a motion and a second to pass the resolution?
So moved. I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted. May I have a motion and a second to invoke the emergency clause to allow the resolution to be effective immediately?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
The emergency clause is invoked and the resolution is now effective.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
You're
for
very
your-
welcome, Brian.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second emergency resolution is appointing Michael Lemon as special advisor to the Board of Trustees, effective tomorrow, authorizing the terms of appointment, dispensing with the second reading, and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
So I've read the resolution, so no further discussion. So we have on the first reading, we have the motion and the second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
We've dispensed with the second reading. May I have a motion and a second to pass the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted. May I have a motion and a second to invoke the emergency clause to make the resolution effective immediately?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
The emergency clause is invoked. The resolution is now effective.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, members.
We have one reading only, which is standard on financial matters, authorizing a resolution to supplement the Resolution 1923, which was the 2019 Columbia Township's 2020 annual appropriation, and our first supplemental appropriation that we did earlier this year. The two items are for the amount of funds for the crosswalk that were not already in the budget. And then the second item is for our legal services law director for the balance of the year. Have any questions, any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, this is first reading only. I have read the title of the resolution. You've heard the first reading. May I have a motion? And
So-
second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
That takes effective immediately. We have two first readings and two second readings. First readings, authorizing the purchase of one 2020 police pursuit vehicle and equipment to replace a 2019 total loss Dodge Charger. We actually discussed a different version of this resolution at the prior meeting when we thought that there was an opportunity to take delivery of a vehicle, Ford Explorer, that another customer may not take delivery of. And in that time, at the discussion right before we walked into the meeting, we learned that that customer had taken delivery of that vehicle. So we regrouped and are bringing back this resolution. The Hamilton County Sheriff's has placed an order for Ford Explorers now that we've been told that production is resuming, although delivery date has not been identified yet after the automotive shutdown due to COVID, that we need to go ahead and get out ahead of putting the funding together. The amounts discussed last time are all the same in terms of the cost of the vehicle, all of the equipment packages, and the exterior detailing, lights, striping. The only difference is instead of us being prepared to get it as a result of another customer not taking delivery, we are now instead part of the Hamilton County Sheriff's order with one vehicle. So this will be a first reading only this time. The second of the first readings is authorizing a renewal agreement for professional services for general economic development assistance, authorizing the administrator to enter into the agreement with Hamilton County Development Company. Just very briefly, as we are talking about contracts during this meeting, Hamilton County Development Corporation provides our economic development services to us. Their primary benefit to us is helping us make sure we have strong relationships with our major employers who are significant funders of many important services in this township, including police and including our roads through the Judd Z, and also helping us in terms of attracting tenants and retaining tenants to our three business districts, Ridge and Highland, Plainville Road, and Rooster Pike. They are well worth this contract, so look forward to passing that next month. Any questions on that?
Dustin does a great job.
Dustin does, I'm so glad you called his name out. Dustin Montgomery at HCDC does an amazing job. I don't have to call him, he calls me. He stays on top of the businesses, on top of the business district, and then he calls me and alerts me, which is really phenomenal customer service, as well as expertise. All right, we have two second readings this evening or this afternoon to round out. The first, authorizing the administrator to enter into a contract to sell easements within the township's compost yard to Metropolitan Sewer District of Greater Cincinnati. You'll recall last month I shared that Metropolitan Sewer District, MSD, replaced sewer mains under our compost facility, and as a result needed temporary construction easements and a couple of permanent easements. It will not impact our ability to utilize the compost yard, and also it leaves the front acre developable for in the future should we need it. So I have read the second reading. Are there any questions? All right, may I have a motion and a second to pass the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kritikos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yeah.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
So the MSD resolution will take place, it's adopted, it will take effect in 30 days. And the final resolution today is amending Columbia Township's handicap parking policy to update section 5D fines. We discussed this last time. This is a more flexible arrangement for us. It was something that Pete worked on with the Hamilton County prosecutor and clerk of courts, that it will refer, instead of referring to a specific fine, it will refer to a fine schedule that can be updated periodically and other benefits. So I have, you have heard the second reading. Is there any discussion on that? May I have a motion and a second to pass the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kritikos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, the amended handicap parking policy resolution is adopted. It will take effect in 30 days.
Okay. Any questions about old business? I did skip a category here of two things. Trustees reports. Is there anything to report on the trustees reports?
I don't have a report, but I got a request. For the 4th of July, I'd like to see some flags in our planters. Something to pep us up, you know.
You spearhead that, work with Melissa.
Okay.
You've got my support,
Okay.
so.
Are you finished, Susan?
Yes.
Sorry. All right, I have a couple quick things. So, Melissa mentioned earlier about how great our staff is and the services they provide. And you also mentioned that they hadn't missed a day during this whole period of, the unprecedented times that we're in. And I'd like to point out, John Cervisi, I received a phone call from a resident on Memorial Day weekend. It was a Saturday morning, and she had a flooding issue that sounded like it was more of a MSD issue, but I felt like we, as trustees, whether it's our job or not, step up and provide an answer or answer any questions that she had. And I immediately called John because I knew he would have the right answers to provide her, and called John on his day off on Memorial Day weekend. On a Saturday, he called her immediately. They had a 30-minute conversation, and it made her day. So those little things don't get recognized, they don't get mentioned. So I just want to reiterate how important and how great our staff is here. Those little things go a long way, so I want to thank John for that. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is just looking at what has happened over by 50 West and the extension of the bike trail. I've been there numerous times, and each time I go, I like to bring in new people that have never been there before, and across the board, it's the same answer. They're impressed beyond belief. They have never seen anything like that. It just shows how, private-public partnership with their vision and our resources and tools, what that's created. I mean, it's been a tremendous impact on the community, connecting residents as well as non-residents. I think the economic development down the road is going to ignite other things to come to that area. And we've mentioned this many times that we want Columbia Township to be a place that people want to eat, work, and play. And that corridor there it's a one-stop shop, and it's just incredible to see how vibrant it is, how passionate the staff that's working there, how excited the feel is, the atmosphere. I wish them continued success, and I hope that serves as an indicator of what could become, and other people coming into our area that use 50 West as an example of Columbia Township is really making things happen. So kudos to them and their entire staff. They're doing a great job. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know they worked very, 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 very hard through all this to get here, so I'm sure they appreciate hearing that. Okay, any questions about, we just covered trustee Royd's old business, new business. Any questions about new business? Ned? Okay, all right, I make a motion to approve the payment of bills, bank reconciliation, and financial reports. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Kritikos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Any announcements? Make a motion to the signing of the minutes and resolutions. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Roll call?
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
yes.
And also want to thank Mr. Pacheco, as we paid kudos to Dustin from HCDC. You do an outstanding job too, and I know you've been working hard, and we're trying to make sure you get well taken care of.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Vicky.
Next, I guess we're done, and we'd move into, I make a motion to move into executive session. And for those of you who are here, that we're just, when we come back, we'll just adjourn. So you're welcome to stay if you want, but all we would do is come back and adjourn. But I make a motion, we go to executive session. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Criticos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
All right, we need We want to call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Kritikos?
Present.
Mr. Kubicki?
Present.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes, present.
And then I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Kritikos?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.